Welcome back to the Backcountry Pa Podcast presented by XOP. Like how I mixed that one in there?
I like that one.
All right. So on this one, we had in studio Howie Miller.
Yes.
We talked all about food plots and land management on this one.
Right up my alley.
Right up Ethan's alley. He loved this one. He got off to this one. It was a great one.
That was okay. No, I'm not gonna go. We're not. This is
It was fantastic.
This is a family episode.
Yeah, sure. But and we went. The reason we wanted Howie on was because he had his cabin, and like he had some land there, but then he wanted more. And like I think as hunters, as outdoorsmen, we always dream of having land. Like you right now, you have your parents' cabin with land and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's always like, how can we afford it? How can we do that? Like we talked about that affording thing a little bit with Howie, not too much, but then we kind of got into the nitty gritty of it, like of, the process of making your land better.
Right. Catering it to the what do you want? What do you want to come out of this?
Yep.
Right. Like identifying what your property already has, what it lacks, and what you can do to fix that.
Not only that, but like also I think the big thing was like not just focusing on what you want your land to be, but realizing, okay, what's around me?
Yes.
Like what's going on around me and using that to your advantage.
Yep.
So like that was a big conversation. That was like a kind of a light bulb moment, I think, for you.
Absolutely.
Of like looking at it, be like, oh, that's good. And I think that's going to help a lot of people, especially, I mean, I know this is releasing, maybe a little bit after land stuff, but like it's still around that time frame where you can still plant, you can still do all this kind of stuff to get it. And also land management, it's not like, okay, I'm going to do this right now and it's going to be perfect. It's like it's a process of elimination of like, okay, I got to work my way to what I want.
Yes, it's a not a one season done, you're good to go. This is essentially it's a lifetime.
Yeah, yes.
It's a commitment.
Yep.
That if you want to do this, you're going to be doing it for the rest of your life because things are going to change.
Yep.
You're going to find out what works, what doesn't work. And I mean, if you're into it, I mean, you'll do it your whole life, but you'll enjoy every second of it.
Absolutely. I mean, and then after talking about that, obviously we then talked about Howie's buck that he got last year. His dad was successful on his property this year with getting 10-point down. So we talked about that a little bit, and we just talk about, land management, his public land success of how he, from last year, learning from last year and incorporating it into this year and be able to get a buck down, earlier in archery season instead of rifle season last year. So he was able to do that. But it was really fun having Howie in studio to do this one. And then he went up and helped Ethan with his property a little bit. Howie's just wants to help people out as much as possible with land management, whether public, turkey hunting, whatever. Like he's all about it. Really good dude. Go follow him. Well, he's linked in it. I don't know.
Yeah, go follow him.
Yeah, I don't know his handle off the top of my head, but
Howie.
Yeah, Howie.
It's Howie.
That's Howie.
Go follow Howie.
But before we get to the episode, little housekeeping here. We are obviously sponsored by XOP. We will be at the Lebanon Outdoor Archery, the Bigfoot Festival in Lebanon County.
Yes.
So that'll be big. Just stay tuned. We'll have that link to it in the description of the podcast. Go check out Deer Hunter Synthetic. At the show, we'll actually have not all the products, but like we'll have all the partner products there somewhat. We'll have some stuff from XOP, possibly a good giveaway, I would say.
Yes.
And then Deer Hunter Synthetic, if you want to put scrapes out right now, he has a spring and summer one to put out. Get your scrapes ready for the early season. Camp Co., buy some hats there, buy a Euro mount there, a wall mount, whichever you want to do, a turkey fan mount. They have those now since turkey season's in right now.
Yep.
OnX. These are all of our partners right now. So I'm just going through them. Yeah. But there's more partners in the description of the podcast if you want to go check them out. Tractor Beam Attractants is one that Ethan started using too this year.
3-Leaf Supreme.
Yep.
Put the seed out not too long ago, so I'm excited to go get that started growing.
I got some clover from Taylor, and then I also got the protein blend for minerals. So I'll run that up in my camp at some point when I get up there. But then you got just regular minerals from too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I wasn't able to put it out last time I was up just because it rained the whole time.
Yeah. It would be soaked into the ground at that point.
I'm heading up this weekend. As long as there's no rain, it'll be out and deer will be feeding.
Yep, that's right. Anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, enjoy the episode. See ya.
Just a disclaimer here. I mean, I'm not a professional. This is only my experience, you know. But when I started out, I bought 38 acres, and then in 23, I bought 25 acres behind me. So I have a total of 63 acres now. Some of it's open, some of it's wooded. And one thing I would say, if you're going to get started, and this is something that I need to do better, starting to identify natives and invasives.
Yep.
So, because like the big buzzwords in the industry now are hinge cutting and edge feathering.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not necessarily a big fan of all that, because you do that and then that creates a lot of work, and you got to go in there and maintain it, and then it's a tangled up mess. Now, if you're trying to create an area where you don't want deer to go, that might be good. But there's so much that goes into all of this, you know. And one thing that I actually did this year, I started looking on the map and I zoomed out from a bigger view, because, like, you know, you watch Outdoor Channel and these guys have big properties.
Yeah.
I have a smaller property. So for me, I'm like, okay, there's big ag around me up on top, like 3/4 of a mile away. Well, I'm not going to be able to compete with that per se. But you drive around your neighborhood and see what, like, you could see an idea of the woods and cover. My woods, you could look and see a far ways. I have no cover. So I started thinking, well, instead of doing like these food plots where like everybody wants to shoot deer off of a food plot.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a cool thing, but the way my property lays out, it's kind of, I have to set it up differently because of my access. And what's going to happen is I'm going to be bumping deer all the time.
Yeah.
And when you start doing that, you start educating them, and then your success would go down. So you want to be able to try and set your property up that you can hunt it the most, or hunt it more times without educating the deer. And I mean, you know, you could look into this like, okay, access. Everybody talks about access.
Yeah.
Well, some of these prime properties might cost $50,000 more than what you can afford, because it's all dialed up with great access.
Yeah.
My property has crap access, but I'm like, if I can make it work here, I could do it anywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah. Howie, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, yeah. Glad to be back.
Yeah. I mean, that was a lot of like a quick synopsis of your property, and I think we want to have you on because we want to dive into your property because it's very interesting. Well, one, we don't know many people that like just one, they had land and then they bought their neighboring land to go off that, so that's pretty cool to talk about. And then also, I kind of want to hear the story about the buck you got this year.
Okay.
Because, like, I haven't heard the story about it. You know, I saw the post, all that kind of stuff. But, like, let's give a little intro for the listeners who you are.
Okay.
And then we'll go into how your season, the story of the buck. And then we'll dive into land management.
Back in.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's going to be a little teaser.
Yeah.
We're going to that's
there
going to be
you
the
go.
teaser.
You got here's your reel clip for the teaser. So thank you, Howie. We got the reel ready for next week or whatever it is. We're good.
So, Howie, introduce yourself to the listeners, who you are, all that kind of good
Name's
stuff.
Howie Miller, born and bred in Pennsylvania. Just ate up with whitetail hunting, all hunting and outdoor stuff really in general, but really ate up with the deer land management here lately. But predominantly I'm a public land hunter. But so, yeah.
What was this season? You know, it seemed like last season you were almost like chasing your tail a little bit.
Yeah, I got wrapped up with a big deer, and then it kind of threw me off my game.
Yeah.
And then I went a little stir crazy.
Yeah.
And then I ended up shooting a different buck in rifle season because I said, hell with it.
Yeah.
Deer just disappeared, and I'm like, I'm not going to chase a ghost. And But I learned a lot about big deer. It's just you need big deer to chase to learn them, and in the big woods they come and go, and I'm like, I just want to start killing deer, and I'm kind of, I don't want to say browning down, but like 115, 120 inch buck is like it's probably not going to get the pass. It's grimy, And,
I don't think it would either.
Now the buck I shot this year was on public.
Okay.
So that wasn't on my private.
Okay.
My dad got a nice 10 on the property.
Oh,
so.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
that is cool.
I think it's probably, I think it's going to be as big as buck.
Really?
Yeah. So that was exciting.
That is. I mean, because Ethan and I have all talked about that quite a bit. It's like, would you be happier with a buck on public or with a buck on your land that you like manage and you put all this work into? Because obviously, like, people always talk about like the work, right? The hard work. There's hard work on both sides.
Absolutely.
Like getting the land perfect. Well, not perfect, but like perfectly perfect for yourself, that you can hunt it and you're able to harvest something off that land, whether it be a doe or a buck. And then hard-earned buck or doe on public is just hard in general.
I've been kind of thinking about that a lot more lately, because like the idea of the private for me is like, well, I don't know if my legs are going to go out on me, and it's like my retirement plan. So I want to have like nice cushy spot to go. I'm building it now. I shot some does off the property and stuff, but it's almost as rewarding, if not more rewarding, like when my dad shoots one, or like one of my best buddies comes up, he hunts the property, and I'm always out in the game lands, but then I'm like getting the play-by-play, like texting, and it's funny, like the whole story how my buddy shot his deer, and then my dad's like, I hear him up there shooting. I said, you go up there with the four-wheeler, get that deer, and you sit in his stand and get him out of there. And sit there. And next thing you know, my buddy's like, I hear your old man up there blasting. He's got one, too. I'm like, I said, I got to get the hell out of here and go back and see what's going on.
Yeah.
But,
man, that's exciting, like, to like know all that action's happening on your property, because the property's not where you want it yet, obviously, but like...
I don't know if it'll ever be, but it's always like a work in progress.
Yeah, but to get it where you're actually able to harvest deer off the property, not for your own self, but like for your dad or for your buddy, like, that's pretty cool.
And it's one thing, like, you can't be afraid of work without end, because there's always something to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, because I just wrote it down today. I have like things to do at the cabin. I just started writing stuff down. And I was like, okay, there's a bunch of stuff.
And as soon as you cross one off, you add 3 more.
Yeah, it's the never-ending list. It's like, oh my God, and I'm like, I could do this and this and this. And then I think at one point, both my wife and my mother are like, okay, don't put too much on your plate, because you're going to go crazy and you're going to burn yourself out. And I was like, you don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, this is, I keep telling, like, I've explained, like, hey, I want to go up to the cabin a lot this year because there's a lot that I want to do, and I know there's a lot that needs to be done. And they're just like, well, it's just going to be work. And I was like, you got to understand. There's a difference between, going to your 9 to 5 and work and going to the cabin and doing things that you genuinely love to do. Like, I'm going to be sweating. I'm going to be sore. I'm going to be tired. But I never considered it work.
But you're making it better for years to come.
Exactly. And I was like, I want to be able to, my dad doesn't go walk the mountains like he used to. He doesn't.
Right.
So
it's going to happen to all of us one day, whether we like it or not.
So I'm like, if I can get it to the point where my dad can go out, he can shoot, doesn't matter, buck, doe, he don't care, right? If there's a deer and he has a tag for it, he's going to shoot it, right? But if I can get it to that point where he can go out whenever he wants, shoot a deer, perfect.
Yeah.
If I can go out and I don't have to walk, 6 freaking miles in the mountains, and I know that there's, deer on the property that I can shoot, well, then, I'm going to do that as well.
That kind of ties into something I wrote down here, expectations versus reality.
Mm-hmm.
You can't base off of what you see on TV. You got to base off of what's in your area. And, like, for me, there's some decent bucks around, but my goal is to try and get like 130-inch to mid 130s, and I think that's achievable now. And then maybe like every couple of years have a 150 come in. But I think, like, because right now I got like 120s, mid 120s passing through, and then I've seen one, he was probably close to 150, not on eye but on camera,
Yeah.
But that's when I'm like, this property, is the way it's set up. I think if I could do like 130s, that would be like I would be happy.
Yeah.
You know, and that's my expectation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every property is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
If I can get one over 100 inches.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't even realize this is
set the bar, and then
yeah. Because I thought the one I shot this year, the buck that I shot here in PA, I was like, oh, he's probably. I think we both were like, he may be like between 110 to 120, like max, right? I'm like, he's gonna. I measured him. Now it's great. It's me measuring. Okay, I just looked it up online how to properly do it. It was 94 and 6/8 inches, 8 point. And I'm like, I didn't even break 100 freaking inches. I was like, holy shit!
I mean, that's when people start, throwing that 150 out there. It takes a lot of antler to get that big.
It does.
A lot.
A lot.
'Cause a lot of people are like, oh, he was 150. It's like, no, he was probably actually like a 130.
Yeah. And I'm like, 115. Nope, not even close. I was like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, once they hit 115, that's for me. I feel like that's an awesome buck.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
mountain buck or whatever, anywhere. That's.
Yeah, anything out past the ears, I'm tickled pink about it. I'll shoot it.
Yep. Yeah, if it's got more than 3 inches of antler, I'm pretty happy,
Right. Yeah, and that's like you were saying, about all this work. Sometimes you got to step back and maybe just do some small things, and then just leave it and see what the deer are going to do with that. Let the deer see how they like it. You can observe that through trail cameras or whatever, and then because you also want to be able to stay off of it and let the deer just kind of have it to themselves. But putting too much pressure on, you're like, oh, this didn't work, so you keep like chasing your tail doing all this work, and you're not really getting the results. You step back, let the deer just kind of feel comfortable on there. Like, I'll stop working like kind of like the middle of August, and then like from there until September, I will just slowly start backing out more and more and staying off. I try to, like, you'll hear people say stay out September. I try to do that a little bit, but I might want to go in and check a camera, but I'll have it where I could check it off my buggy. I could reach over, pull the card, no ground scent. There's a lot of farm equipment around, so by driving that machine around, it's not going to bother them.
Okay.
Versus, like, if you're way out in the middle of the woods and they hear that, they're going to know something's up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's some things to think about. Also, like, looking at the lowest hole in the bucket, like, what's your property lacking? Is it food? Okay, well, I want to work hard to get food here now.
Yeah.
Or, like, for me, what I was saying, I was backing out, looking at it from a bigger perspective. I'm like, if I can make my property thicker with cover, more of a bedding area, let them go and feed on the neighbors. I can't compete with that anyway. And I'm still going to plant food plots and stuff, but I want to be off the edges of this bedding.
Yeah.
So I'll have my access now. It's going to be kind of shitty getting into one spot because the north side of my property is a steep hill. But if I could get some access roads and stuff going in through some trails or whatever, and hunt the perimeters, that's what I'm trying to put forward from here on out.
Okay.
So like that's where my lowest hole is. There's no cover, and by putting that cover down, I'm also putting food on the ground near their level. Now, you also have to look at the deer density in your area, because once you start planting stuff, you're going to start attracting deer. Well, if you have a lot of deer and you put out like a 1/4 acre plot, they're going to come in, hammer it, and it's going to be gone before you even get to hunt over it, unless you put fences up or whatever. And I try and set mine up for buck season for like when my dad and buddies come up for deer camp. But it's like every year they come in, they clean me out like the 2 weeks prior.
Yeah.
Right before deer season, it's like cleaned out.
Yep. Yeah, looking at mine, I have 20 acres.
Okay.
In the middle of the woods, right? So like I'm not having several acres of food plots, right? So I was like going, what's the lowest hole in the barrel? I was like, all right, let's see. I need better food, I need better coverage, and I don't have any water. And that's so I'm like, well, what can I focus on that's
water could be a big one if there's not much around.
Last year, if I would have had this, if I would have jumped on it sooner last year, I would have had some more deer around. But I was like, this year it's going to happen. So I found 40-gallon like tubs.
Okay.
I got 2 of them, and I was like, I'm dig a hole, and I'm going to dig a hole in the ground, which is going to be not a fun process because it's nothing but
all rock,
all flagstone up there. It's going to be a hassle. But I was like, I get one here, get one up there, make sure it's filled with water, let nature, fill it up as needed. And then if there is a drought, keep it filled because that'll keep. Because I know that, I mean, everything disappeared once the water got dry. They
went for water.
They went for water, and
Make
we
sure-
didn't have any.
Make sure you have a stick or something in there in case a rodent falls in that they're able to get out, and
Yep.
then they don't contaminate it.
Yeah, you don't need the deer drinking, decaying, mice or squirrel or something stupid.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like, that's gross. But right now, I just saw in your story you were up. Was it this past weekend up in your property doing a lot of cutting?
Yep, I was getting rid of some maple.
Yeah. So like, what? I never really thought about it because like now we're March 10th or whatever. It's like February, March. Everyone's cutting trees, doing logging or timber, whatever, select cuts. What? I never really did it, obviously, personally. We had someone come in and cut certain trees around the property, but Dad just wanted to open it up a little bit. It's kind of nerve-wracking because once you cut a tree, it's cut.
Yep.
You can't replace it for another 20 years.
And that's what I was saying in the beginning about identifying, learn your trees, because you might have a tree that's worth a couple $1,000s.
Yeah.
So you might want to have somebody come in and look at your property and say, like, is this worth cutting or whatever? Be careful with that. You don't want to do like a high grade where they come in, cut the best, and leave the rest, and then you got nothing but junk. Because there's like that's another thing you'll hear, like, let's do a select cut. Well, it sounds good on paper, but if they're just taking the good stuff, they're leaving you all the weeds in the garden. You got to weed that garden out. It's nothing but pulpwood. So that's another thing to actually look into as well.
Yeah, because everyone was talking about getting sunlight on the ground.
But don't be afraid to cut trees down. Like now, and for me, we had a hard winter this year, and everybody wants to go shed hunting, and I cringe because I'm like, let the damn deer be.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to talk about this, but kind of something that was agitating me. These deer right now are the most vulnerable than all year because their fat stores are getting thin. They're running out of food. We got a couple week window here till green up.
Yep.
So this is like we get these cold wet, like it could get down below freezing yet again.
Yeah.
And I think you going out there pushing these deer, you could actually kill that deer, and you don't know it. Next thing you're like, oh, I found a shed. I can't wait till this year to hunt this buck. And he pushed him down over the hill, and he expended all. If he had a hard rut, didn't recover.
Yep.
He expended all of his last reserves, and he dies.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it was cold up there this weekend. So
Yeah.
I don't even want to really mess around my property because it's like, they get hunted hard, and then they get a little bit of a break, and then we're out there shed hunting and pounding. It's like, do the deer actually ever get?
And shed hunting is becoming even
competitive,
more popular.
Like, I want to get in for the next guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like,
And the elk. Oh,
do the
people
deer
are going for
too.
the elk now.
yeah. It's like, do they actually ever get a break? They're pressured nonstop.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get the infatuation with trying to find an antler, and
I do
be
too.
like,
I mean, I want to be
it's
out
cool,
there,
right?
But
like, man, they did deserve a break at some point.
I think if you're going to do it, like, do it right around the season, like they're early, and then kind of back out, and then go back in like in April or something. I'm not telling anybody what to do, but
Yeah.
people are going to do what they want to do anyway.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
That's one thing. Like, that's what I've been doing, and I don't get a lot of sheds because maybe they get picked up, or the squirrels get them, or whatever. But
I usually don't find them.
I always just like,
Yeah, I don't find any.
I feel bad. I'm like, just let the damn deer be for a little bit.
Like there's just a shed. Like it's a participation trophy that everyone's searching for. And it's like,
Yeah, look at the buck I didn't shoot. You
Yeah.
know, I found his antlers.
no,
or the deadheads there. Oh,
Yeah,
that's always
that's
a shame.
even
to
worse.
find. That's worse
and
to
I
find. It's
don't
like,
know if you notice, if you're watching some other guys that are out, they're finding deadheads. Like that's like goes back to my point. It's like the deer have it rough right now.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, the buck that I shot on December 11th, that one had like hardly any fat on him.
yeah,
at that
it's
point.
like, how in the hell they live? It was like down to the freaking
Yeah.
negatives. It's like, man,
yeah.
Yeah, they deserve a break. I don't know. Like I'm not one for like more laws and regulations, but yet also it's like maybe there should be some kind of like window or like didn't Idaho or
out west they have a shed
Yeah.
season. Like, you can't go into a certain for that same reason, because
Right.
guys go in and start pushing them. Well, you had guys out there, I guess, from what I heard, I don't know how true it is, but they would run them with four-wheelers and stuff, trying to get them to run and drop the sheds.
Yeah.
Man,
that would
Jeez.
But like that there, if we don't take the initiatives into our own hands of like, okay, let's give this deer a break for this time frame, right? Then eventually it might be where someone has to pass a law that doesn't allow us to shed hunt, go out and shed hunt or scout or whatever for a certain time frame because we're putting too much pressure on these deer and they're dying off because we're putting too much pressure on them.
Yep.
And they can't reproduce. Like even the doe, like they're like just because they're going after the sheds of a buck doesn't mean we're not jumping doe when we're out there.
Right.
That are putting wear on their body too with fawns.
You're not like I'm not sneaking along when I'm shed hunting.
No.
I'm trying to cover ground and I'm busting in there and I'm not being too quiet. I'm looking for sheds and I'm just trying to cover ground and find sign. But which that ties back into what I want to do in my property. I want to get it thick so it becomes an area to hold deer and I can find more sheds on my property.
Yeah.
Just let them hang out in there and do their thing, and then I could walk up and scoop them up later on.
So would you rather have a property that is a destination, or would you rather have a property that is that holds deer and like is better during the rut time frame?
I don't know if I would want to kind of time it around the rut because ruts are always so unpredictable.
Right.
I would want to I think I want to make my property just like a bedding area. So what I'm doing, I'm making bedding pockets to kind of hold deer. And it might take me a couple years to make these. Like just think of like a Swiss cheese or a pepperoni pizza. But then I want to start making corridors from bedding area to bedding area and start connecting these. And maybe I could start making funnels and stuff to keep these deer bouncing around.
Okay.
And then I'm hoping that keeps deer on the property a little bit, a little bit longer. Because, like I said, I can't compete with that food. Let that be the destination.
Right.
But they're going to come back and bed on me. And where does a buck spend most of his time? In his bed.
Bedroom, yeah.
You know, they're going to go out in them food plots mostly at dark. Mm-hmm. So I don't care if they're out in that food. Let them go out in the neighbors feed all night long. Let them spook them. They're going to come back to my property. You know, that's how. But it took me. You know, I had the property going on 7 years now, and it took me this long to kind of like come up with. You're going to keep changing your strategy as time goes. I mean, go door knock, talk to your neighbors. You want to be good friends with your neighbors. Like, that's how I ended up acquiring that 25 acres behind me because I put the word out. I was talking with a realtor. Property went up. She's like, "Hey, this is for sale." I'm like, "Well, shit."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a no-brainer at that point.
It borders me. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Made it work, and then I just started going around knocking on doors.
And is that how you found out that person has food plots, that destination food you're talking about? Like, is that how you found out that they had it, or was that fields before you said?
Yeah, no, just from driving around like the neighborhood, you could see the big fields up over across the way. Like they're not even on the properties that border me.
Okay, all right.
Where I'm at, it's like a lot of cattle and hay. So like it's not very ag in my valley, but then the next hill over, that's where the corn and stuff is.
Okay, all right.
And then so it's kind of like there's the destination, and like I said, you drive around. And another thing, like if you're trying to buy property, and you drive around, go drive around. Like here's a piece of property I'm looking at. Well, go drive around all the surrounding area around that property, and you'll see the browse line. And you see that, you're like, holy shit, there's deer here because they got everything browsed.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of gives you an idea if that's something you're looking for.
Yeah.
You know?
For the bedding areas that you want to make, like, are you planting things or are you doing cutting and letting nature take over?
I'm going to do a little bit of both. I'm hoping I could get a logger to come in. I'm on the books. It's just... I don't have a lot of valuable shit on the property. It's mostly pine, hemlock, maple, and the market's like in the tank right now. And for him to get equipment in there, its access is bad, so it's hard for him to get in there. And he's going to get in there eventually. So that's like once I can have that happen, it's going to make things like a big improvement. So I'm trying to. I don't want to do too much now because I'm going to be taking a lot of my pulp wood out, which I could be making money off of later. Even though it's not a lot of money, but I'm just trying to get some things accomplished. Something started. But to answer your question, I want to do a little bit of both planning and let nature take over. Okay. In certain spots, because like some of the fields, I want to let some areas of it just let nature grow up. I might plant a couple shrubs in there. Where I was cutting this past weekend, there's like a low spot that's got a lot of water kind of laying in there. So I'm thinking about doing. Swamp, I think they're called swamp oaks.
Yep.
Put a couple of them in there. Just let it get thick and let nature. Now I got to keep going back and looking for invasives, I'm going to do a lot of spraying this summer, I think. Because I got autumn olive and
we have that
honeysuckle coming in. So, and then when you cut the damn shit, it root sprouts. So I want to go in with a backpack sprayer and foil once it gets leaves, foiler spray it and try and nuke the shit out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was trying to lay off the herbicide, but it's necessary to try and knock
get the
some of this stuff
invasives out.
back.
Yeah.
Now another thing too, if you have property, you could get a hold of your local NRCS office, and there's all kinds of grants to. They'll give you money to tackle invasives or plant pollinators. There's different programs you could get into.
Oh.
Now you're dealing with the government, so you got to be patient. But it's almost, it's not really free money. It's our money that goes into these grant funds. So you owe it to yourself to at least look into it.
Yeah.
And see if you fall if you meet the criteria or not.
Did you fall into that criteria at all?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm waiting to hear back now from that. You could also look into these carbon credit programs. So like by buying these properties, they can make you money by saving. Like they don't want you to cut trees down. So I guess what it is it's like say Delta Airlines puts money aside, or like Amazon, because they build these warehouses or whatever. So they emit or they use this much carbon. So they try and buy up certain amount of these carbon rights to offset the carbon that they're putting out, so they can advertise that they're carbon neutral. Now they're basically passing this on to the consumer through their products, so you're paying for it anyway. And, carbon neutral.
Yeah.
But they're still putting it out. But anyway, like they'll come to you and be like, okay, you got 30 acres of trees here. We don't want you cutting any trees down.
Right.
Now, the one program that I looked into was it was a 20-year deal. I didn't really like that. It's a long time.
That is, yes.
Because I'm like, I got to do cutting. Like, by me not doing cutting, my woods are going to go backwards. Because they're so tight and choked up right now. I need to get light in there because everything's competing against each other. So I'm not going to ever have timber value with anything if I continue to have it, keep it going the way it is. So that's something to look into. It might be like a 1-year deal, and it could be like a couple $1,000s. It just all depends. Like
that they pay you because you don't cut trees.
Yep.
Wow.
Carbon credits. You could look on there's a site called Landgate where that it'll lease your property. So say you want to, say you have a bunch of property or whatever, you could pay a fee or you could do a free version, but it'll list your property and then you could select like solar farm, wind farm, natural gas, carbon credits, and then these companies will go on there and be like, okay, I'm looking for carbon credits. Okay, here's a property, and then they reach out to you.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Interesting. We could have been making money.
It seems like it's good on our end. Like, say you buy a property, it seems like a good deal on our end, but then it's like, man, like these companies are saying they're carbon neutral, but really they're just paying someone else because they're carbon neutral. They're like
any way around it,
right? Like any way around it. So it's kind of like it's like that. It's gray
a catch-22.
Yeah, it's a catch-22. Yeah, that's kind of. But on our end, like if we buy the property,
you got to leverage it, because it's an investment and it's going to outpace the stock market.
Yeah,
I don't have money to put in the stock.
No,
and then I mean you could go on your account and look at it. It's a number, but at least I could go and dig dirt and shoot deer off of it, or if you ever get in trouble, God forbid, but you could sell it and make money on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I used my property, like, it was nervous to make that investment, but it was the best decision I ever made in my life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Buying that 25 acres that butts up 2 years that you have a cabin on already. It's like, man, like this is
I'm
phenomenal.
I'm constantly looking like,
yeah.
Soon as I was like, okay, I got this neighbor. If they ever sell, I'm like, Dad, because like my parents own the property.
That's why you want to talk to your neighbors too, so you get in with them, and then before it gets to the market, because like I'm doing a oh shit, can't think of it. Owner financing. So I'm paying the guy that owns it. So, but he cut me a 4% interest rate.
Yeah.
Versus like, because I tried to go through the bank and they wanted to give me 8.
Yeah.
So by cutting them, now you got to make sure you have a contract or something written up. Like, don't try and just do a handshake deal on something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
But that's I don't want to give a lot of advice on that because I don't know a lot of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could get into some trouble with stuff like that. But
Right.
I had that on here on my list too about, door knocking, get to know your neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you don't be afraid to start small, like 5 acres.
Yeah.
In the right spot, you could hunt deer on that. 10 acres, put a little sweat equity into it, sell it, flip it, buy another piece, and just keep doing that until you have what you want. I mean, you're not going to lose unless you overpay for a piece of property, where then it's going to take years to recoup that back. I don't think you'll lose too much on property.
Yeah.
So
when you bought the property, 25 acres, what was like you looked at that, and because you said it took 7 years to get to where you're at now with the plan. Why is like when you looked at it, it's like,
well, I was kind of restricted because I only had 38.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And that I don't want to say only.
But
I had 38, and then when I bought that 25 acres in September 2023,
yeah,
I really didn't even because it was like right getting into hunting season.
Right.
But like there's a fence there. It wasn't really a fence. The neighbor pounded stakes in the ground and put like a strand of wire across it.
Okay.
But you could every time you went up. Drove up there, walked up there, you'd see deer over on that side.
Mm-hmm.
So they were always over there.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, shit, we'll make that the sanctuary. And that the first year, I'm like, we're not even going to go over there.
Yeah.
Like, just hunt on the edge. And then after season, we'll go in and we'll start kind of getting a game plan together. And then that's like everything's kind of started coming together.
Okay.
Well, I'd say after season, think about that stuff when you're sitting out in the woods all the time by yourself.
Absolutely. Like,
so.
For you, when you came up with the plan, were you like drawing it out? Did you like draw it out yourself? Like, because I feel like that's how I would want to do it. Like, if I had property, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to draw it this way. Which way looks the best?
I do. Because and then I burn it, and then I draw another one. And I mean, I probably went through damn near half a notebook because like, so I bought a bunch of these chestnut trees from Morris Nursery, and it's August, September, October, November drop.
Okay.
So I'm like. I got these trees, and I'm like, where the hell do I put them?
Right.
Because once you put them in the ground, it's like permanent.
Right.
And then I'm like, I got to put these somewhere strategically as they drop because I'm thinking, well, okay, the deer are probably going to be under these at night. Mm-hmm. So I don't want these like where I'm going to access and then bump them off of here.
Yeah.
So that's where like I kind of struggle, or kind of being afraid to make a move or something like that because that's almost like I don't want to dig it up and have to move it.
Yeah. Yeah, because once they're rooted, it's like then they're going to start growing and you don't really want to dig it back up.
Because it could die or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So...
Man, that's
I bought those
stressful.
I bought those same ones this year at the outdoor show. Those 10, that group, the 10, they drop at different times. So I bought them. I was like, all right, cool. We got them. Got them coming in. Was first, second week of May, like after the the last frost. And I was like, all right, now where am I putting them?
Yeah,
I got to figure out where I'm putting. So I kind of like have a game plan of where I want them. Now I just got to clear it out and get holes dug. That way, that's just done and ready to go.
For those trees there, are they kind of like the other pollinator trees where they got to be like in close proximity to each other to like pollinate each other?
Some of them are hybrids that don't need a pollinator.
Okay.
And I don't know that all those. I think all those chestnuts they're pretty good to go. Like,
okay.
They don't need to be within proximity.
Okay.
But I kind of lumped them together so you have like clusters.
Yeah.
You have like the Septembers, all, and then like I planted the Novembers within bow range of a stand.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And that way I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be like that spot I'm building is going to be like the honey hole, the all or nothing spot.
Yeah.
Like go in there and hopefully you stay out, go in and kill.
Okay. All right.
It's going to have food plots, it's going to have cover, it's going to have chestnuts, there's oaks, there's white oaks, there's probably going to plant some persimmon trees around there. They're going to give them a little bit of everything.
Wow. Yeah, that's. It sounds like you're going full in.
Oh,
with it. Like it's. I mean, that's kind of like that's the beautiful thing about having land that you can do this stuff with.
Yeah.
It's like the it's endless of what you can do.
And then going back to like, it's probably like a 5-year deal. Like these trees won't start producing for 5 years. So I planted those trees last year. I got another batch this year I planted. So I'm thinking. and I'm probably going to be doing this for eternity.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping, like, say, for the next 5 years to continue planting. So then once 5 years hits, that first batch starts hitting, then the next year the second batch will start, and then it's going to compound, and then it's going to be like boom, 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 and then every year after that, it just keeps getting more.
Now, do you ever in your mind, like right now, like it sounds great, but then do you find in your head like, will I have too much food on the property? Like, is that a worry in your head sometimes?
It can be, and I'm like, you know what? Sometimes you got to let the deer win. Like, that's how you're going to get big deer. Like,
true.
And it's like at least it's on my property, and I can just keep bouncing around. You know what I mean? Like, I do think of that. I'm like, when is too much? Or when is enough? I haven't really came up with that yet.
Figured that out. Yeah, I'll say I'm just really starting into, like, last year I kind of got into it a little more with the whole habitat management and everything. This year I'm definitely jumping into it a lot more. But I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And I was like, here's ideas. And then I'll get a lot of it done, hopefully, get a lot of it done this year. And then next year, I'll be like, okay, now what do I do? Now what can I add? I don't want to because I bought, obviously I got the chestnut trees and I kind of like general area when I put them. And I ended up getting a bunch of pin oak saplings. The bundles are like 50 of them. So I was like, there's a whole area. I already have an area picked out where I want to get rid of. It's a bunch of old, just useless, like, beech trees that are just taking over a whole area. So I was like, clear that out, get that out, plant a bunch of these pin oaks around the area. Then I was like, how much can I put? How much can I actually do? One, with my parents' approval, because again, it's not my property. I need the okay from, really it's Dad's the one that gives me the approval. Mom she don't care. She's like, oh, it's for the deer. Go right ahead. Like we don't care that much. But I was like, how much can I actually do without overdoing it? And I don't want to say ruining the property, but like doing too much that it's like
the chainsaw and cut shit back down.
Start cutting stuff again.
True. It's because like you're just resetting and you're just constantly like working the land.
Yeah.
Like maybe like bring fire in every couple of years, and which we're going to be trying in a couple of weeks.
Yep. Yeah, that will be the next topic we talk about. I did write that down too. Control burns.
Well, Ethan, I think since you just brought up about your list of like what can I do after this season, right?
Yeah.
I want to hear what you have on your list.
Oh, right now?
What you have to do this, because you said you just wrote that down. I want to hear this. I want to hear what you have to do.
As of now, I got 12 things.
Okay.
Well, some of these aren't like property. Like one of them is check my trail camera. So that okay. I just wrote like there's things like I wanted to do. Like I'm gonna be up this coming weekend. I'll be up 2 weeks after that with Howie. We'll get into the burn because that's when I want to start burning, and then I'll be up again. But that's for fishing, so I'm not working that weekend. Opening day of trout, there's no work. There's just fish. But so far there's a big, I think it's a sycamore tree up on top of the quarry. I'm getting rid of it.
Okay.
I'll be replacing that with some of the chestnut trees.
Okay.
So I want to cut that, clear out the bunch of the beech saplings, beside where my dad's hunting blind is. Mm-hmm. Where that is. You've seen it. So so if you're looking up to my dad's blind, to the right, there's a deer trail, heavy used deer trail. And they go around the point right there. That's where all those beech saplings are. I want to clear a bunch of them out, and that's where I want to put the pin oak. Okay. And let that grow up with pin oaks and have food.
Yeah.
Over there. Frost seeding. I want to frost seed, some clover, and I have some from oats.
I just did this last weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. I have some oats from last year. I just want to get rid of the bag at this point, so I'm going to just mix them together and just. Heck, it's going to be like 60. It's going to be colder, but it's going to be like 60 degrees up there. Yeah. This weekend, and it's supposed to rain on Sunday.
Oh man, you might have clover by April.
I know. That's what I'm looking. I was like, I got excited because I was like, I can plant on Saturday, and then it's going to rain Sunday. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is perfect. Yep. Pick spots for the chestnut trees to go.
Take a stake or a flag, and put it there, and then kind of look at it and think about it for a while. You know what I mean? Look up and make sure it's got room and all that, and then you can always move that around. Like, I'm going to put it over here and kind of visualize that. Because it's hard. You put this thing, it's a tree tube, and did you get the survival kits?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, good. you put that in the ground and just like this little freaking thing, and then but one day it's going to be like this big towering tree. So
yeah, it's gonna be like 40,
kind of
50
hard to
feet
visualize
tall.
that now. You know.
Yeah, you're just like it's this tiny,
something to think about.
Skinny little thing. It's like, man, this is gonna be like 50 feet tall with a 30, 40 foot spread at one point if it grows out to be like that. I was like, you got to visualize it looking like that. So like, where am I going to put it? So like, I know there's spots where I'm thinking I want to put the chestnuts that I am going to have to clear out some other trees.
Do you guys know Tom Dameron, Workhorse Trees?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It took me a second. I was like, I know a Tom. I didn't know his last name.
Okay, I may have butchered his last name, but good guy, and he's local. So I've been actually getting some trees off of him, and I'm probably going to get some more off of him in the future. He's got a lot of good shit going on. So
I went over to his house.
So
last
fun fact,
year to check out
he
some
actually
stuff. I was like, oh,
the
man.
farm that's right down here. He's actually that's the farm he's working on.
Is that the one?
Make it better. Put trees on and do food plots and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's
he's
farm he's doing.
He's got it going on. So shout out, that's a local PA guy, and I like to try to support PA.
Yep.
Whenever I can.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
So I'll see what else he has. Because like I said, I got chestnut, oak. I know he has a bunch of like apple or crab apple like varieties. So I'll have to get a couple of those from him. I'm sure I can just put those around the cabin too. Already got 3, so I might as well get some more.
I think I planted 20. Well, it was 10 or 11 apple and 10 or 11 crab apples.
Okay. All right.
So I planted like 40 trees last year.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I can't wait to see what happens, in the future.
Oh, absolutely. Let's see, where was I? Oh, control burn, working on the power line, because I know there's more planting and stuff I want to do. I'm going to make some bird houses. I want to map out for wildflower plots, basically areas where I'm not going to have the deer come and eat. Well, I mean, the deer will probably come and eat. They'll eat the flowers, but it'll be closer to the cabin. Get more, because right now in front of the cabin there's a lot of just fern.
Yeah.
And that's all it is.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I want to get rid of some of that fern, replace it with, native flowers and grasses mixed in there. And some of them will grow, 2-3 feet tall.
Yeah, they grow high.
So, and I know it'll be good we've had grouse around the cabin.
And sometimes you just do a burn, you'll be surprised what kind of native wildflowers come back in place.
Yeah.
And it's already in the seed bed.
Yeah.
And then bedding for deer. I need to create, because like you said, like what's your property missing? You have to look at it that way. And I'm like looking, I was like, what is my property? I'm thinking you need 3 main things to have deer: food, water, and shelter, cover, bedding, something, that kind of mix. And I was like, the deer come to the property. Like obviously we get them, but it's because we put food out. I started getting some, food plots in, so we have the doe come in. The bucks show up for maybe a week during the rut time because we have fawns. So there's something there, but I was like, I feel like I'm missing all 3, like a good, solid foundation of all freaking 3 of those things. I
mean, you go on YouTube and look up like land management and just like drink through a fire hose. There's so much like information to be had. But I find a lot of it, for me, to be not relatable.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if you guys ever heard of Tony LaPratt out of
heard
Michigan.
Of him. Yep.
He seems like the most relatable to me for keeping deer on smaller properties in pressured states. With neighbors and stuff around. You got a lot of guys that are managing in like Iowa and Illinois. It's like it's totally different.
It's different territory. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you can maybe adapt some of that stuff. And it's so, every dang property is so different with, I'm in the mountains, so it's kind of hilly and, it's not flat. It's different.
Yeah.
But then somebody that has land down here, it might be nice and flat, it might have a swamp and a good bedding area, great access. So you could do a lot more with stuff like that. It's just trying to look at it, like I said, get your mapping thing out, zoom out, and look at like the topography and see where it makes natural pinch points, and look like where the deer trails and stuff already are, and then like kind of go off of that. Unless it's not conducive to getting in, then maybe like cut some trees down and skirt them around, move them deer, what I mean? Like that's that spot I did last week. I picked a spot. Now I'm making the deer come to it like a hub.
Right.
Because what I want to do is I want to make lanes like the spokes of a hub. So if I don't go in there and kill like I said I would in archery season, I go in there and rifle and I'm just filling the freezer.
Right.
It's where I could cover some ground, got some shooting lanes. Because like I'm not picky and I'm not discriminating. Like I don't have any problem shooting anything with a rifle. It's all fun for me. I like rifle hunting just as much.
It all tastes the same.
Yeah.
When it all
they don't know the difference.
Down. Yeah. Dead is dead at that point.
Honestly, it's like, I got a tag to fill. I don't care how I feel it.
Yeah.
So one thing that I've like, I don't think Ethan has ever done this either, but like soil testing.
Yeah.
So with that big a property that you have now, how do you manage on doing the soil testing? Like, do you do every single spot? Do you do one spot? And you're like, okay, this is the soil for the whole property. Like, how does that work?
No, so like you want to pick your spots and then like say this is plot A, B, C, D, or however you want to label them, and then you want to take a bucket and then pull some samples from different areas.
Okay.
Put in that bucket, shake it up, and then take a sample of it, put it in your bag, and send it off.
Okay.
So you're kind of getting an average kind of.
Oh.
Because like sometimes, like if I forget how, like if you have a hillside, it's higher elevation over here, and you pull off of here, well a lot of that might leach down here. So it might be decent soil down here, but it ran off of the top.
Right.
So it could be lacking up here. So you know, and that's part of that plot you roped off. So you pull your samples from this one spot. You're like, I'm good to go. Yeah. And then you put your seed out, and nothing really grows up on that top, and you'll have like a patch.
Okay. Yeah, so I thought it was just like one spot you pulled from.
Yeah, no,
you had
like
that. Okay.
And another thing too, like you can smell the dirt.
Yeah.
And it'll have like certain distinct smells. Like it might smell like nickels.
Okay.
Which I think it indicates magnesium. Or like Tabasco, which is good soil, which.
I had no idea it would smell like Tabasco.
Yeah, but I haven't had any of that yet. But
I don't have Tabasco soil.
Yeah, but that's some things to look into. But your best bet is just get a damn soil sample and send it in before you do anything. I made a mistake, like gung ho, wanted to get seed out. I got lucky. One spot grew, had decent soil. The other spot it didn't. I mean, just you got to keep it simple. Do a soil sample and get your pH close to 7.
Okay.
Like 6 to 7, and then you shouldn't get seed the soil, and you shouldn't have any problems.
Okay. All right. So what about because clover? Everyone goes to clover. It's like one of the easiest things. So like, even for that, you still want a soil test. Putting that down. Yeah, I would. Okay. All right.
It will grow in lower pH, like the stuff I'm getting from Back 40. I've got pH like 4.8, 5, kind of shit, but it comes in. Yeah. Now, I made a mistake last weekend. I got to the last spot I wanted to do, and I got lazy. I should have took a leaf blower and blew the leaf litter off the top to get better seed to soil contact, but I just went over top of it and kind of poke and hope there, But we'll see what happens.
Because that's what my parents have a camp that butts up to Bald Eagle. Okay. So like they have. I messed up
100 acres.
Yeah, 200 yards, like between camp and there, and I'm going to do a clover plot like right between it.
I'll go ahead.
That's and I'm just going to put that down and just put Back 40 clover down.
I planted clover, and then I'm thinking, all this stuff on the market. Like, why plant clover when you got all this? I'll tell you what, like clover is like one of the best. I mean, especially if you're in a high density deer area, because it'll withstand some of that browse pressure.
And turkey too.
Like it'll come back. Like especially that clover chicory blend they have. I love that blend. And like you'll look out and there'll be deer. They're just hammered. And then like I go up there now and it's down to the dirt. Like they look like somebody went in there with almost a rototiller. It's like they'll dig through the snow. They'll come back for that clover. It's like holy shit. So I'm going to do a lot more of that right now because I got a lot of other things going on until I'm able to get because it's hard to get in there with the lime truck. Yeah, I need lime bad. So instead of wasting a lot of other seed and just, I'm wasting time and money, so I'm just going to get clover on the ground, and then I'm going to go back in like middle of August and then do oats over top of that clover.
Yeah.
That way that's maturing kind of like right around October.
So you're going to do clover in all your plots that you have up there? So you're going to just do pure clover? I mean, I like the thought of mixing everything. Like if I had land, I'd want to like have like a plot of different things, but then also in your mind it's like which ones you're going to go to, right? Like if you have all clover, it's like
well, it's a monoculture, and they'll probably get tired of it eventually. But you think if they eat it out of one spot, and then once all the ag comes off, and they're going to come back eventually. It's something on the ground that's a little bit better than what's there. Now, once I get my soil and everything up, I'm going to have a diverse, like a little bit of everything.
Okay.
I'm going to have brassicas. I'm going to have probably 50-50
turnips. You going to do turnips?
We got turnips.
Do you? Turnip for turnips?
Oh, yes.
Big ones?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
You'll pull them out of the ground, size of your head kind of turnip.
Heck yeah.
I see those. Man, I see those pictures of people like, look at this thing. It's like freaking, I was like, oh, shit.
I'll tell you what, that's funny. It's kind of like the joke when I'm out at the Sportsman show.
Yeah.
Like, we'll sit there and joke amongst each other like, hey, you got turnips? Because everybody comes up to the booth and they're like, you got turnips? And it's like, everybody wants to plant turnips.
Everyone wants that big turnip.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, there's so much more than just a turnip. Like,
Is that a good thing? Like, I know deer are going to eat it, but like, is it like a smart thing to plant? Like, if you have other options, like I feel like something else would be better to plant than a turnip.
It'd be more, from what I just see, that's more of you plant it in the, like, so was it summer, fall, and then let them just eat it all, like, in the winter?
Well, I mean, if you plant it, like, that's a brassica, so everybody plants their brassicas later, so they're more palatable. Now, like on TV, you'll see these big, giant brassica stands, because they're planting them, like, in early spring and letting them get lush, where it looks real good and green for TV.
Yeah.
But you'll see, like, the buck are kind of going through there, and they're barely really eating it. You know, they might nip here or there, but we're like, for me, when I plant that shit, it don't last. Like, it don't get a turnip, because once they nip it, and it's done growing.
Okay.
But a couple spots did get turnips where I planted it in with, like, the hideaway. It was kind of hidden. It got a bulb on there, and they didn't even really touch it the first year. I guess it was, like, foreign to them. The second year, once they found out what it was, you couldn't keep them off of it. And then, like, a couple of the bulbs, like I said, that made it, then they came back later and got those.
Okay. All right.
They kind of dug them up, but it was weird because I'm like, what the hell? They ain't even eating them.
Yeah.
But then you went up and it's like, well, son of a bitch. Now they ate them.
Yeah.
Same thing with pumpkins.
Pumpkins, yes.
I want to do more pumpkins because I planted them the other year. Same thing. Nothing. Got a nice pumpkin on there, and then they ate the pumpkin. And then after that, that year I planted 8. Last year I planted 14, and they got about 8-10 inches tall, and they mowed them right off.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
they do love their pumpkins.
They do.
Every after we get our carving done in the fall, and we have all these spare pumpkins, I usually take them over to my in-laws' place, and we put them at the edge of the woods, just kind of chuck them in there, and the deer come, and they're gone within a week. There's nothing left.
Yep.
So it's like, because I was always like, well, your parents are going to get.
Apparently, the seeds are like a natural dewormer.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
My dog eats those.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah, your dog don't have worms, does he?
Well, he's not smart.
Eats everything. He's like,
he'll eat deer shit in the woods. We'll be walking on a trail, and he'll like stop and start sniffing. I'm like, okay, he might maybe find something.
Raisins.
He goes, like, don't eat the
shit,
dude.
Sounds like a dog.
Yeah, but I want to talk about controlled burns. Ethan,
yes,
go ahead. You want to do this? I can't do it. I'm too close to the public. I can't do that.
Tell you, it's a little. I've never done one. Obviously, I know you've done several. On your property, but it's like it is kind of nerve-wracking a little bit because it's like I'm going in and intentionally setting things on fire.
Yeah, you
burn. It's like, oh shit! And like I'm in the woods.
You have to have a plan, and you have to have. You should have some manpower with rakes or some tools. Leaf blow, a fire break perimeter if you can, rototill or mow or make like a lane, something that, like as a fire break. And then, obviously you want to do it either early morning before the wind picks up or like you don't want it to be too windy, and then burn it opposite of the wind, so it's like burning against the wind. And then I always do like a horseshoe, so it kind of like burns into itself. Like if it starts getting like out of hand, I'll just do a back burn, let it just quick burn itself out.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking of a few spots that I would like to burn, because like I said, there's no fire up there. There's never, so it's just like, if it's in the woods, you just have leaves.
I guarantee
everywhere.
You put a camera on that after you burn, you'll have turkeys in there.
Oh yeah,
almost immediately.
Yeah, because when you burn, like obviously there's a couple different options you can do. Like after you burn, you can just let it go and let nature take over, or you can put seed down once the land cools. Like, is there certain things you're like, you burn, but then like, oh, I want to put seed down. But if you're burning and putting seed down, other things are going to grow in there with it. Do you like, I don't want to have to spray anything if I don't have to. Is there like a balance of like when you can do that?
I would say like, so your soil temp would have to be close to, like you want your soil temp to be warmer so the seed will germinate sooner, and like time it with a rain. So you burn, you let it cool down, then maybe go in the next morning, and then overseed, you broadcast your seed in there, and then you got a rain coming, and then that'll get into the ground, and hopefully that germinates quicker than what's in the seed bed. I think it's going to be like almost impossible. You're going to have competition, and I mean the deer don't care either. Like that's shit that's natural, as long as it's not invasive. It's all stuff that they're going to eat.
Yeah,
you know. I mean, I would do one and seed it. Do one and let nature kind of see what comes up in there. Because there's things you could do if like now it'd be dormant, and then you could do a growing season burn, and then you get different burns at different times produce different vegetation. And I don't know enough to know exactly what's coming in. That's why I said in the beginning I want to learn more of the species of shrubs and stuff like that. I need to do a better job of stuff. But I think more forbs and wildflowers come in. I don't know. I might be misspeaking. I might have it backwards. But that's something to look into. Different timing of your burns produce different vegetation.
Oh, so like you're saying, like if so, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you're going up there to do burns?
Two
and a half.
Like say you go up that week, and for whatever reason it doesn't work out.
Yeah,
the conditions aren't right. We'll hold off and do it during the growing season once everything's greened up, and then into the fall you'll have other stuff growing in.
Okay.
And no matter what comes in, it's going to be beneficial to all wildlife.
Yeah. Okay. So just depending on when you burn it, like if you do it in 2 weeks, then something else can be growing compared to if you do it later, like in August or September time break.
If it's fern, I would say you're going to want to go in there with spray and nuke all that fern first, because if you burn where the fern is, I think it's going to just become more fern. It's going to accelerate that.
Yeah, you don't want that.
No,
you don't want that.
But if you could do a couple different spots, like a 1 acre patch here, a 3 acre patch over here, and then like a 5 acre patch over here or something, and then just like see what happens.
Yeah.
And then next year do another 5 acre burn next to it. So you have different cycles, levels of vegetation growing.
Yeah.
And then do another one the third year, and then keep them on a 3-year rotation.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's definitely, because that's the one thing I do want to get is more. I mean, obviously like bedding for deer, but there's certain spots where I wanted to get more thick, because I know we have, as weird as it seems, we have rabbits on top of the mountain. I've got them on trail camera up on top of the quarry. So I was like, all right, I want to cover for them. There's the grouse population is making a boom, so I'm like, okay, more cover for them.
What's good for the bird is good for the herd.
Yeah,
exactly. There's plenty of turkey out there, so I'm like, keep the turkey happy with everything. So I was like, if I can burn some of these spots and just let nature take over, depending on what decides to grow. Because like I said, like you said, like autumn olive.
You might have to go in and spot spray, like, one or two might grow here or there, and go in and just freaking nuke that bastard and get rid of him. Or hack and squirt.
Yeah.
That's another.
Because there's
good
like
option.
My dad left some because he wanted to I don't know. My dad's looking into all this herbal shit. He's going like hippie with all of his his natural medicines and everything now. So he's like keeping some of them, but like trying to keep like getting rid of a bunch of the other ones. So I was like, how? And then because in the neighboring property they have a shit ton of it on the other side. But I was like, I mean, it's taken over. Like that stuff grows like a weed.
Oh,
It'll take over the whole property if you don't maintain it. Mm-hmm. It's holy shit. Like that stuff is not.
It's never ending.
It's never ending.
This weekend I was up and I'm like, son of a bitch, it's growing back over here now, and I thought I had it taken care of. And then,
you think it's good, and it's not. Like, oh, and the one thing that I know I need to do is monkey vines. I call them monkey vines. Some call them grapevines. They grow up the trees. They sprout, kill the tree, and everything. We have a handful of those, and I was like, I want to cut them, tear them down, try to kill. But those, you got to basically pour diesel fuel down it and kill the roots and everything, and then get rid of the monkey vines.
Yeah, I would probably try to stick to like a glyphosate. I know it gets a bad rap, but when you start doing stuff with diesel, a lot of times that glyphosate just kills like the root system of that plant, where when you dump diesel on the ground, it pretty much neutralizes the soil, because there's microbes and all kinds of enzymes in the soil that makes like a network, like fungus and all kinds of shit working together. Like when you go in there and dump that shit on the ground, it just kills all that.
The whole area is dead.
Yeah. So like if you just spot spray that, like cut that vine and just, or even if you have like a paintbrush or like one of them foam, it's like a wood handle with a foam thing on the end, take a sponge and dip that in there and then just sponge that on.
Yep.
Then just let that soak in, and that'll suck in and kill down the roots, but you're not messing with the soil then. And the
just that one thing you want to get rid of.
Yep.
Because I know there's a lot of them.
But diesel will kill it.
Yep.
Yes,
diesel will kill a lot of things.
Yes, it will.
It'll kill your sprayer too. It eats the nozzles and shit out of them.
Because I know if I get, because that stuff, like it climbs up the tree, it spreads out, and then flowers and leaves or whatever it does up top, and it's like it gets so heavy, and then eventually it kills the trees, and then the trees fall, the vine falls with it, and then it just goes up the next tree.
Yeah.
So I was like, if I can get some of that down now before anything leaves up, that'll let the tree. I mean, that won't let more sunlight in because then the trees will go.
Yeah.
But they'll be healthier trees.
That's another option for you for making light. If because when you cut trees and you got a lot of work cutting them up, you know what a girdle. If you could girdle the tree, take like 2 inches of bark and make a strip around the bottom of the tree, and then that'll kill all the foliage, and then it'll just be a standing dead tree, and then the light will come down because there'll be no leaves on it.
Oh, that'd be not bad.
So what'd you say you put in there at the base of it?
You girdle it. You would take like a chainsaw or a hatchet and just take away the outside layer of bark, about a 2-inch strip.
Oh.
Because that's where all the nutrients comes up.
And it'll kill the tree, but it'll stay standing. And then you could cut it down as you get time. But,
wow.
So you could do a patch of that real quick and let light in without all the cleanup and mess.
That wouldn't be... Yeah, because, I mean... I know at one point my dad would be like, I don't want to cut all these trees down, because then obviously that creates a lot more work, because we got to we don't want to let them lay.
Did you burn firewood at the camp?
Oh, we had enough firewood to last decades.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
We have, so if you need any, I'm sure Dad will give you some on that weekend.
Or you could girdle it and let it season standing, and then when it's good and seasoned, cut it down and burn it that year.
Yeah, because I know a lot
just of... like, you know, how all this shit plays into time, and so you kind of like... Just things to think about.
Just future firewood as it's just standing there instead of laying on the ground, taking up extra space. Yeah. Plus, I mean, there's flying squirrels up there that make their homes in the trees. There's woodpeckers. We have the palliated woodpeckers.
They'll go in them dead trees.
There's a couple.
You're kind of creating habitat.
Yeah.
Yeah, just standing habitat at that point. Because there's a couple trees, it's like, how are you standing? Because there's holes. Everywhere on this thing. It doesn't even look like a tree at that point. But woodpeckers...
That's what it's all about. I mean, you're making the property better for everything. I mean, we get wrapped up in the deer, but like if you could look out and just see wildlife and birds and turkeys and squirrels and rabbits or what, it's like, look what we did. Like from years ago to now. Now that you walk out, it's like a game mecca from all the hard work we did.
Yeah, because that's the one thing.
Yeah,
that
to see your success.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to say it bugged me But it was like every time I would talk to someone or like hear conversation thing, it's always like, oh, I'm doing this for the deer. And I'm like, I mean, I get it because you're hunting deer. Like, that's like the main thing that a lot of people do. It's like maybe the only thing people do.
That's why we have a...
But I'm like, there's so many more animals that you need to, I don't want to say take care of, but like you could help.
That's
and
why our
essence,
turkey population's hurting because
Yep.
the deer are highly adaptable. I mean, look, they'll live in backyards and stuff and stuff that they could eat, but turkeys can't. They need cover and they need nesting and brooding habitat. So that's one thing. Since I got involved with Turkeys for Tomorrow and learning about that, you know, if you would build your property for turkeys, well, the deer are going to follow. Like you're building just habitat that's going to be all around for all wildlife, and you know the deer are going to just adapt just with it. So that's another thing to think about.
Yeah, building a property for all wildlife, not just for deer. I think that's a great tip for literally everyone out there. Like, don't just like we start out by talking about whitetails and like how to make it perfect, but like in the end of it, we're trying to make it all encompassing for all animals.
Yep.
To come to the property, like especially
why
turkey, squirrel. You know, Ethan loves hunting squirrel. Like
I love my squirrels.
He would love to go out and
you're probably going to get like booner squirrels if they start eating them chestnuts.
Heck yeah, we're going to have like a 10-pound squirrel.
Ethan's goal in his property is to tag out on his own property, walk outside and just tag out in the matter of like an hour.
No, I'd be happy as shit. I mean, and that's why like on my list, there's things like I want to do like birdhouses. Wildflowers, like there's. I mean, I have.
It all works together. I mean, like
Yeah.
you're creating an ecosystem that's all encompassing, and you know you got bugs that the birds are eating, and then they're flying around with the pollinators and bees, and then they're going over your fruit trees and making them produce, and you know that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. I mean, we're obviously not Ethan, but I'm like ate up by whitetails. Howie, I know for talking to you from last 2 episodes, you were on your eat up from whitetails too.
Absolutely.
And now, like, you're now getting into this more. So, like, you're still ate up with whitetails, but yet you want to make your property perfect for all.
I mean, I like to watch them and learn and just watch, you know, and see what they're doing, what they're eating, and how they're moving across the ground. And
and I think a lot of people in this world now are fascinated by whitetails, right? But yet, I think that's something that's missing is like you got to make your property better for all animals. So then that way it can last on generation to generation. Because you know, for my daughter, she might not be in the whitetails, but she might like hunting turkeys.
Right? You don't know. And it's up to her. You know.
Right.
And
like you can't control if someone else is going to be in the whitetails or not.
That's why some guys are some people are into fishing. Some people are into small game hunting. Some people are. You know what I mean? It's like everybody finds their little niche.
Yep.
That's what makes us all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then paying attention to what, like you said, going back to natives and invasives and everything, it's like I would like try to take a look at like, okay, what do I have on the property? And looked, and there's one plant we have like my mom puts out hummingbird feeders, right? Which by the way,
I love hummingbirds.
Yeah, which
I'm like a nerd. I'm like,
I love them.
PSA,
so cool.
if you're going to put out, quote unquote, food for hummingbird, sugar water. That's it. Don't buy the stuff from the red dye shit from the store. Don't, like, that'll kill them.
Yep.
Just sugar water. But I'm like, okay, what do we have? I found these plants. I was like, well, these look kind of like they look kind of cool.
Marijuana.
Like, some marijuana plants.
It's a marijuana plant.
I got a bunch of birds just sitting there. But I was like, well, what are these? I looked them up, and they're called red columbine.
So while he's looking up, Howie, tell us people the story of this buck that you got this year. Walk us through that. What led up to that hunt? Of getting that buck.
So I had a little experience in this general area, but I was kind of expanding off of what I've known, and I was spreading cameras out. I found this scrape, and I'm like, I want to kill a deer here. I just had that feeling, and but it's one of these spots, like, I always kind of want to go in there, but then I have other spots or other deer I'm chasing. And this year I made up my mind, I'm like, I'm not second guessing. I'm just shooting deer. I'm filling tags this year. I don't want to be waiting late into the season and like scrounging, and I'm going to have fun.
Yeah.
And I made up a plan that I'm going to go to this spot, and I'm going to hunt it and see what happens. And then next weekend, I'm going to go in to where I ended up killing this buck. I'm like, I want to go there, and I had 2 spots picked out, There was like a bowl that went out to a small point, and then like it got steep on this one section below the point, and all these trails kind of funneled and made like a hub. So I did a big J hook up to that spot first thing in the morning. It was kind of windy, cold. It was October 26th. Didn't see nothing. I could hear something. Then it was like 8 o'clock in the morning. I could hear something coming through the leaves, and I like made a rookie mistake. I just catch movement coming around the point or the edge of the hill, and I reached for my bow quick. And as soon as I did that buck, it was a buck. He seen me.
Yeah.
And he just turned and went back up over the hill and gone.
Walking or like did he run off?
He kind of walked fast. Walk like
yeah.
He wasn't really trotting, but he just kind of got out of there. I was like,
yeah.
Son of a bitch. So I was like, but see, I was set up on that hub, and I know something I seen, and actually I heard Ryan Glitsky talk about it. Like those spots, those bigger deer kind of like they skirt just around the edge of them. Had I been just off of that, I'd have been right in his lap.
Yeah.
But because you think about it, it's almost like a trap. Like all the trails are going through there. It's like where you have to go, and then that buck comes around and he just stays right off the edge of it.
Mm-hmm.
And no big deal. I was happy. I'm like, shit, I seen a buck.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a deer. I'm like, okay. All right. So I got down and laid on the ground and took a nap, like 11:30ish, and it was super dry.
Mm-hmm.
So I walked up towards the top to that bench where the scrape was. And once I got about 200 yards, I started like sounding like a deer, kicking in the leaves, and I just kind of walk, stop, kick the leaves, all the way over to my tree stand. And I had a cell camera in there, but it stopped taking pictures in September.
Okay.
And I had cameras, and I didn't even I put cameras out this year. I didn't even check them. I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm hunting. I know there's deer in these areas. I'm just going to hunt them and be kind of like surprised.
Mm-hmm.
And I got almost to my tree and I jumped a buck. I'm like, shit. Like, all right, well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So I climb up in the tree. It's about 12:30ish. I get up in, get set, and about 2 o'clock I look up to my right and there's a side hill, and then above that it flattens off, which is, I guess would be the top of the ridge.
Mm-hmm. I
see deer funneling up through, coming from like behind me, out the side hill. And then they're going out, and then I see a deer go across the top, and that was a buck. Then all of a sudden these deer turn, they come straight down towards me. And then this bench that I was on with the scrape had cover, had white and red oaks. There was not walnut, what the hell's the hickories.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the mash trees were coming together there.
Yeah.
So these deer kind of come down by, and then they kind of like funnel past me. Then they come back. Like they went out the bench, and then they come back. And every time they come back, they bring another buck with them.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, cool. This is fun. Like this is a great day. I'm like, I could leave here now, and this was successful. You know, just seeing deer and seeing buck. They're like little basket rack. And then one was actually looked like a pretty nice little 8. I'd say he was like right around 100 inches.
Yeah.
And then you start to think like, well, if he comes in range, would I? I don't know. Like, that's not really what I'm looking for, but I know there's some decent, like a little bit better out here.
Yeah.
So then it's like, I hope he don't come into range. Like, stay over there. Well, then they kind of fed past, and kind of settled down, and then it got to be about that, like, I always call it the power hour, you know, magic hour. I look out in front of me, here comes these deer. I'm like, here comes more deer. Great. Big giant doe comes out. And, you know, when you see those deer, those doe, it's like, I'm on borrowed time. She's going to pick me off. It's only a matter of time. She's going to see me. So I'm just like, kind of like cussing. I'm like, man, well, I want to enjoy this as long as I can because it's about to be over.
Yeah.
She comes in feeding, and she's like 25 yards. And I'm not wearing camo. I just had like a green fleece top on, and I did have camo pants on. I'm like, yeah, it's gig's up. She kind of looked at me, went back to feeding, and fed there for a long time. And then other deer started kind of funneling up. And she was there for like ever. And I actually had to stand up. And then I'm like, I can't stand any longer. I got to sit down. So I'd slowly sit down and have my bow on my knee. And I'm like, all right, I got to switch my hand. I'm like, she's going to see me sooner or later. I'm trying to move real slow. And this is like agony.
Yeah.
This is dragging on and on. I'm like, all right, just bust me already. Because I'm getting sore and stiff from like sitting like this. And I see these other deer kind of going up through this. I think they were honeysuckles. And I see a buck with them. I'm like, cool. Well, all of a sudden I see this doe pick her head up and look to the left. And I look to my left, down towards that point I was talking about.
Yeah.
And I just see the rack coming. And this buck come up like stiff-legged. And you ever see them when they're getting ready to fight, how they they stiff-leg and the hair's standing up. And they roll their eyes back and put their head off to the side.
Yeah.
Well, he come running in on this doe, put his head back, his eyes rolled back in his head, and he was grunting. And I thought he was going to put his head down and gore. I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
So she kind of like ran and then did a circle. I jumped up. I'm like, shit, they're going to my right now. I'm like, this is going to happen. He put his head down. I could see tines. It's like, that's a shooter.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Let's do this. And so they're in front of me. The doe's going to my right. He like did a circle and then like was going away, but then he cut back after this doe. So I'm trying to get turned to my right. Well, then she runs in a circle and goes to my left.
Yeah.
And he comes running out around behind her. And I'm like, gee, now I got to get turned around to my left. And he's coming right down the pipe. And she comes blasting by my tree like 8 yards. I get pulled back. And I'm like, because at first I didn't want to move. But I'm like, he's running. If anything, he's going to stop. So I got the bow back. And all he cares about is a piece of ass. He's like on that doe's tail. He stopped at this one little window. And I just let it rip. And I hit him in the spine. And I had to put another arrow in right there because I don't know what happened. Like it was like 8 yards.
Yeah.
And I thought I was right, but I shot high somehow, or he moved, or there's a lot of shit going on.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't know, but I hit him in the spine. Had to put another one in him just to make sure. But that was pretty much it.
That sounds cool. Yeah.
And I'm like, buck down, and then we had to pack out, and it was freaking awesome.
That is. That's one for the memory bank right there.
Yeah, and I was like, man, October 26th, I'm pretty much tagged out.
Yeah.
I'm like, because that was Saturday. I got off work early and was able to get up there Friday. And I shot a doe on my property on Friday, and then the next day I went out, smacked a buck. Damn. And I'm like, oh, this is just like stacking freaking banners now. Like, this is awesome.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a cool story.
It was so cool. It was just I had like one of my best years this year. Just fun. And then I got to be like camp bitch for buck season. Like it was a great place to be, pressure was off.
Yeah, come rifle season, you got the apron on and you're cooking meals and you're doing the dishes.
I had a bear tag yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I could still hunt bear during buck season where I was at. So that kept me out in the woods. But I kind of I was like, man, I should just sit here in the property with my dad or something. But I'm like, I like to be out too and see like how the deer are reacting. It's just, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. See where they're going, all that kind of stuff. Howie, where can people, what do you want people to follow for you? Who do you want them to follow? I know you're with a couple groups and all that kind of stuff with a couple companies. So drop where they can follow them at and you.
Howie_H2 Miller, Instagram. I'm on Facebook, but I'm probably getting ready to delete that soon. I'm getting sick of it.
Yeah.
Spending too much time on there. But Instagram would be the best place. And I'm involved with the Appalachian chapter of Turkeys for Tomorrow. Give us a follow on there. We'd really appreciate that. But and try and stay up to date because we might be starting a new account soon. Our account got flagged for like 300 days for...
Jeez.
We're trying to do that fundraiser we did the other week.
Yeah.
We posted a flyer with all it had guns on it.
Yeah.
And they didn't like that and flagged the account, so we can't post or go live or I don't know. We're restricted, so you're not going to see too much from us. But if you could go and just give us a follow and stay up to date, if we do make a new social media, we're gonna post it on there to follow us. We got some cool giveaways coming up, some raffles coming up. More events coming, and we're trying to just raise money for wild turkeys in Pennsylvania.
Cool, man.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming in here and telling
thanks
us
for
all
having
about.
me. It's been a blast.
Yeah. I enjoyed hearing about the stories and also the land management side.
Yeah,
for Ethan's side.
Go forever.
Yeah, I got plenty of things to go over now.
Awesome.
I remember everyone to keep hunting
Keep fishing.
and always enjoy the freaking process. See you.